Gold prices had a big move higher today, seeing prices move upwards of $30 to a level of $18.70, something we haven't seen since going back to January 6th. At this point, it seems the market had been struggling to get back to the 200-day moving average. We did that this week. We got back to the 200-day moving average now. Market seems a little bit more balanced, but really a lot of this bid came on the foresight of more inflation coming down the road. Not today, but down the road, given the expected stimulus and more Fed intervention, or continued Fed intervention, I should say, inflation is an inevitable consequence of what is going on, pumping all this money into the system to get the economic wheels turning again. So right now, gold may be focusing a little bit more down the road, as we saw a big move higher, likely at defense against inflation, something the Fed has also talked about in recent weeks, but nothing that would be specific in targeting a date. They are still looking to get north of that 2% level. Looking at the dollar, which had experienced a pretty good run, about 10 or 12 sessions they've seen the dollar index was higher. However, we saw last 2 days things have been a little weaker. At this point, obviously the aforementioned stimulus and Fed intervention continuing, that's going to weigh on the dollar and continue to weigh on the dollar, something that we saw pretty much most of 2020 when the Fed stepped in March to lower rates to zero and add all their buying programs to support the economy. That will continue, and that should continue to push the dollar lower. And lastly, positioning. We saw those gold speculators buying and adding to longs for quite some time. Well, all that reversed last week. We saw the biggest long exit on a week since going back to October of 2019. So the move from 1962 below 1800 back towards 1800 really shook the tree. We saw a lot of those speculators exiting their longs, likely looking to reposition. Maybe today was one of those days when we see a big move higher, momentum shift. Speculators tend to get back in, but at this point we'll have to wait for this week's report to see if anything has really changed there. But again, a big exit on that big sell-off we saw not too long ago. At this point, it'll be unclear as to when and where they get back in. But again, today's big bid in gold, obviously looking down the road a little bit towards more inflation, given all the work that still needs to be done to get this economy back up and running.